Hey everyone, Rob B here with Rob D. Well, we are here now, but let's see if we want to be here by the end of the episode, because this week we look back at the predictions that we made at the start of the year. And we didn't just make predictions on property, we made them on property, Bitcoin, and even the Olympics. So what did we say? How right or wrong were we? Let's find out.
Welcome to the Property Podcast, where every Thursday morning property investors come to be informed and inspired. Clearly, we're living in strange times at the moment, and back at the start of 2021, it was very hard to say what the year would have in store. But say we did, and you're about to find out just how right or wrong we were. I would say don't go anywhere, but I'm sure you won't. Back in January of 2021, in common with many people from the property industry, we made a set of predictions for the year ahead. Not in common with the rest of the property industry, and perhaps for a good reason. We're coming back at the end of the year to see how we got on. So we made prediction about house price growth, which cities would do best, what would happen with the base rate, with QE, with stamp duty, with the stock market, with Bitcoin, with the Olympics for some reason. Why do we do that? And now we're going to hear how we did. Rob, you feeling good about this?
Obviously, as always, nervous. And I mean, this is not the first time we've done this. We've done this every year. So if you fancy a laugh, you can go back through the years and see how our predictions got on. Let's just do it. Let's see how we get on. Let's see how this goes and how embarrassed we're going to be, or not maybe, at the end.
Okay, let's do that. So we started by making a prediction for which cities would experience the most house price growth in 2021.
So I'm going to go for Liverpool, and that's no bias. I really do believe it will be there on its own merit. Nottingham and Leeds.
I completely agree. And I absolutely swear, before you said it, I was going to say the same thing.
Oh, we sounded so young and optimistic back then. And we also sounded partly right and partly wrong, because Liverpool was number one by some way as well. So Liverpool, as far as the data shows that we have so far this year, because we want to have the full data to the end of next year, so leading up to the end of October, the data shows that Liverpool is up 10.6%, which is great. Great for those people who may have listened to that and investigated, investing in Liverpool. And also great for our egos, Rob. Not as great, Rob, as we didn't get second and third right. Second was Manchester. And third was Sheffield. Manchester growing 8.7% and Sheffield growing 7.9%. Super strong for those areas. Nottingham was actually joint fourth and only 0.2 away from third. And who knows, by the end of the year, when the final set of data are out, it might nudge itself up into third place. So we're either only partially wrong on that, or actually it may turn out to be right. Let us know if you followed the data next year and tell us how we ended up. We did get Leeds wrong, though. Leeds had a solid year and it was up by 6.9%. But that currently puts it at 8th position. So, Rob, we didn't get it all correct, but we didn't get it all wrong. I think, as far as predictions go, that was respectable.
I think it was. And of course, we were aware that Manchester would do well. And Sheffield, we specifically talked about when we were picking out our hotspots for the year. I think we may have said that Sheffield's time was not quite yet. And cities like Leeds and Liverpool would end up getting the growth first. So Sheffield surprised us with the timing. But overall, I think we can count that as a pass. So Dan, ring that bell. Okay, if we've had a dark spot in our predictions over the years, it's always been around London. Our track record on London has been unimpressive. Let's see what we said for this year.
I'm comfortable in saying that London will be bottom 5, but still will experience growth.
Well, so far, so boring, because I completely agree. Well, Rob, clearly chastened by past experiences, we didn't go too precise with our London predictions, but we did get it right according to that same home track data you've just been talking about. London second bottom with growth of just 2.2%. Only poor old Aberdeen below it. Aberdeen, the only city to actually lose value this year, minus 0.3%. But hey, that counts as a win.
It certainly does. Let's see if we continue that winning streak when we look at UK growth.
But I actually believe that the UK as a whole will experience growth of over 4%. I really do. And I know a lot of people are going to think I'm bonkers.
I'm going to go for a slightly wussy, watered-down version of your prediction, and I'm going to say prices will be up 2%.
So it turns out, Rob, I wasn't that bonkers after all at 4%. In fact, it turns out that I wasn't bonkers enough. So while the world was feeling very gloomy back when we made these predictions, and everyone else, it seemingly, was making predictions of falls or, if any growth, very, very minor growth, 4% was at the extreme end when that prediction was made. But Rob, the nationwide figures show that 4% was nowhere near enough. It was right, and you were right, but the actual numbers were a lot higher.
Yeah, it's unbelievable. So the latest data that we've got at the time of recording goes up to the end of October, where the annual change, according to the nationwide house price index, is 9.9%. So I think it's fair to say that whatever happens over the rest of the year, you're going to end up being right. But for me, this is just such a great illustration of how much can change in over a year. Like looking back at it now, going growth over 4%. Yeah, of course. It's like, why was there any doubt about that? But I didn't feel comfortable going up to 4%. And that really did feel like a very, very bold prediction. Nobody else was saying anything like it at the time. And in fact, it looks like growth is going to be more than double that amount. So it's so interesting going back and looking at this stuff, because it's such a reminder that a year is not a long time, but so much can change. And once it's changed, it just seems obvious. But before it does, not the case at all.
So next up, we made predictions around the base rate and QE. So let's have a listen back to what we said.
My official prediction is no higher than 0.1%. I also, while we're talking about monetary policy, feel pretty safe in predicting that there's going to be another round of QE. Pretty convinced about that.
Well, I'll back you on that one, Rob. I think that it does feel safer, and I'd actually be surprised if there isn't another round of QE. So, yeah, I'll match you. I do believe there'll be another round of QE.
Well, Rob, you are certainly right at the moment, at least at the time of recording, on the Bank of England base rate. In fact, the Bank of England will be making an announcement today, the episode it goes out. So at the point of when the episode goes live on the 16th of December, the morning of, at least you are certainly correct. We'll see what the day brings, but it doesn't matter because we're putting this out now. So, and we haven't done it on purpose just to make sure you're right. It's just how the timing has landed. But at the point this episode goes out, you are correct. We were both wrong about QE, though, unfortunately.
Yeah, we can convince ourselves that we were right enough on top cities because we've got Liverpool. We're technically right on the base rate just about at the time that this goes out. Might only be right for another few hours, though. QE, unfortunately, no way of spinning that one. There has not been another round of QE since November 2021, which is surprising. We were both convinced that was going to happen, but it didn't. So a mark against us for that one. Now, our next prediction was on the stamp duty holiday, which was still in force at the start of 2021. Let's have a listen to what you said, Rob.
I think the government will either extend the stamp duty holiday or offer a different version of the stamp duty holiday. And I'm going to give myself a backup here. If that doesn't happen, I think in its place, they'll announce another form of major stimulus to the property market.
Ding, ding, ding.
Oh, yes.
I'm pleased to say that was right.
Yeah, that is an absolute win. The stamp duty holiday was supposed to end at the end of March, but a few weeks beforehand it was extended to June, and then it was phased out to completely end in September. So yeah, gold star there, spot on.
Thank you. Let's see if we can continue this bull run of correct predictions, and let's listen back to what we said about the FTSE.
At the time of recording, it's standing at 6,560. Do you think it's going to end 2021 higher or lower than that number?
I'm going to go higher.
So yeah, let's go with stock market higher.
I'm starting to enjoy this episode, Rob.
This is going well, isn't it? Yeah. So at the time of recording, the FTSE is somewhere around 7,050-ish, and it's got up to about 7,300, 7,400 over the course of the year, I think. So yeah, definitely correct on that one. And this is another one, I think, where it feels obvious in retrospect, and we're comfortably correct about it, but it wasn't at all obvious at the time.
We gave Bitcoin our attention as well. And with Bitcoin, it's always brave making predictions because it's so volatile. But clearly we were feeling brave and we had something to say about it.
So I'm very tempted to say that I think Bitcoin is going to cross £20,000 by the end of 2021. I'm not. I'm going to wuss out of that. I'm going to say that it is going to be above £15,000 by the end of 2021, which is higher than it is now.
Well, Rob, you were correct. Well done. I mean, looking back at it now, it seems that it wasn't that brave of a number, but actually the world was crazy back then. Although Bitcoin is more than double what you predicted, and it has gone up significantly, you still said it would go up, and you said it would go up over a certain amount, and that is true. In hindsight, it doesn't look very brave because it's gone so far past that point, and many people will say, oh, it was obvious it was going to happen. But everybody has to remember, like with all these predictions, when we were making them, the world was in a very dark place and people were scared about what would happen to all asset classes. So although it may seem, a very safe prediction that you made back then, and actually it's gone up significantly past the point you said, you were still technically correct.
Technically correct. I'm not going to start selling crypto trading signals anytime soon, because debating whether it is going to cross 20,000 just seems ridiculous now, but still happy to take it. And I think we need to live on the edge a bit and make another Bitcoin prediction when we do our 2022 predictions.
And last up, because it was a big world event due to happen, we talked about the Olympics.
I'm going to go yes, but watered down. And what watered down looks like? It's very broad, isn't it? Which is great when you're making predictions, so that's useful for me.
I'm going to say yes, purely on the basis that a lot of money is at stake and a lot of corporate interests, I'm sure, will want it to go ahead. So I'm saying yes on this one.
Well, we were right. So, listen, we're not the Olympics podcast. We're not going to go on too much, but it's always nice to be right. I think overall, Rob, we've done pretty well there. I have to say that over the years, like this episode, we've not been 100% right. But over the years, we've got more right than wrong, which shows that we're either very lucky, which is probably the case, or very lucky and seem to have a little bit of insight. But there's definitely luck, whichever scenario you look at. Maybe that luck will run out when we do our predictions for next year. And we will be recording those soon, and they will go out in January. So will our run end of decent predictions? Who knows? But if you're starting to think, actually, these guys might be worth listening to, then you can hear what at least we think is going to happen in the world of property and beyond in January. So make sure you join us for that one.
It's time for Hub Extra now, the part of the show where we give you a little bit more. But we've already given you so much. Last week's episode was the best of Hub Extra, and that was absolutely jam-packed with resources. Books, podcasts, TV, tech, you name it. So if you haven't listened to that episode yet, go do it. And remember that our Hub Extra recommendations are always backed up by the Hub Extra email, which hits the inboxes of Property Hub members every Friday morning. So if you're not a Property Hub member yet, sort it out. It's free. Why wouldn't you? Just go to propertyhub.net and sign up there. So that's us done for today's episode. Kind of glad to have that behind us. Never comfortable recording these, but worked out pretty well in the end. But that's not us done for the year. Even though next Thursday is just a couple of days before Christmas, we will be here reviewing some of 2021's highlights. So please make sure you join us for that one. And until then, have a great week. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.